Hi everyone. So I'm going to walk through a really cool use case where we're monitoring our call recordings that are being managed by our Fathom call recording tool, checking for any external attendees that are our clients on the call, check if they're in Hubspot right now, which is our CRM, and also in our newsletter list. If not, then we're going to send that data to Clay to get enriched. And then we're going to send that data to a Slack channel for a human in the loop process to check manually if we want to add each person. And then we have a response in that Slack channel, which then triggers pushing that data into our CRM and adding them to the newsletter. So I'm going to walk through this step by step. So let's get into it. So in here, you see the tools that are primarily powering this are n8n, Clay, obviously HubSpot, Slack for the human in the loop process. You will see Zapier up here. This is a demo one that I created because I don't want to walk through this with real data from our clients and expose their email addresses. But you can see here, this is the actual one that's live right now and all of the previous runs. You see it has, one just came in just right now. You'll see the push from Zapier here. The only reason we have that is because our Fathom call recorder only integrates with Zapier and nothing else. So one day, once they open up the API, we'll probably remove that step and we'll just have the data just coming direct into this n8n workflow. But for now, so I can demo this, I created this on form submission step because the data that comes from Fathom, there's going to be a one field which has all of the attendee email addresses just with comma separated. There's going to be another field that has the call URL. There's other data on there, but they're just the two that we care about. So I've got a pop-up here that I'm just going to add in a couple of examples in here. Okay, so I just filled out that form, and you'll see we've got two attendees here. These are just test offs, obviously, and then the URL. So in the real example, this would be our clients' email addresses. And then in the URL, this would be the Fathom call recording URL, but I just put in our URL for our company for now. So in the next step, because the attendee information is all just in one field and you can't really use that in the next steps, like we can't just send that to HubSpot and say, are all these people here? You have to send it a row at a time. I just have this code node, which is then splitting out the attendee information into two separate rows. So right now, this is like one item. And then this code node, once I execute this, now I have two items. So essentially it's splitting by the email address. Now we've got the two different rows that we can process forward. The next step up here is then we're going to search each of those two records in HubSpot to see if they exist. So we're going to check. Okay, nothing exists. We're then going to also pass through here. So if I execute this, what it's doing is that this data is coming through with nothing. This is coming through with the two records. You can see that it's still the two email addresses. And in the merge node, we're keeping non-matches. So say there were four email addresses in here and two of them were people that existed in HubSpot. They would then get removed from this step. And then just the two that do not exist in HubSpot progress forward. So now we're going to send that data to Clay. So if I execute this step, just sending it to a webhook in Clay. And then you can see in here, we have the two rows. We've got the Fathom URL, the email address. It's searching for the LinkedIn profile, but because these are test records, I don't think it's going to find them. Yeah, so I have this column, which is the enrichment column to search for the LinkedIn profile. And then I have this column because to send the HTTP request back to n8n here to go on to my next step to send the Slack message, it needs a value. So if it's empty, so I just have like this formula field, which is saying if there's no value in here, just put in, not found. There's a few ways I could handle this, but I just thought that was good enough for now. So this will then try and enrich, find the LinkedIn profile, push it then back to this webhook in here. Because this is inactive, I'm actually going to jump across into my actually active one. And there should be in here this latest run, which is the data coming back in. And there it is. So if we look here, we've got this is actually our real live one. We've got our test record in here, the push from Clay, and then um, send the Slack message. There should be the other ones. Just that's the test 10, and then test 11. So what I should see now, if I go into Slack, so I'm just going to open up my Slack. Okay. So I'm going to open up this Slack, and you see this message has come in. I now have a new emoji reaction that we added to Slack to add to the newsletter. So if I go here and I type and I just push that back to add them, it should happen pretty quickly. I should get a response saying this person has been added into HubSpot. Here's the contact record ID and then the list that added to. And I'll show you that working once I jump back into n8n. And then if you look here, you can see, so emoji reactions. So the way that I've set this up is we have the Slack trigger of a reaction. The next step is we're filtering on the type of reaction. So this is the newsletter ad. So any others just get filtered out. We then, because in the original, in the Slack push, it sends this timestamp. This is what you use in Slack to then find that specific message. So what we need to do is then go back to Slack and say, okay, bring me all of the data from this specific message based on the timestamp, and you just need to include this. So you basically search this channel for this message, bring back all the data. You can see it has like the whole text. In the next, we then just strip the email address from that text, and then we take that email address. In this, we use the HubSpot step to then push that email address into HubSpot. We have enrichment happening in HubSpot, so it will get the first name, last name, company name, title, all that good stuff. If there's a match, we then add them to the list, and then we respond back with that message that you saw that got responded back in that Slack thread. In that, it's kind of nice because you can, in the reply to the message, if you put that timestamp back in there, then that will then respond in a thread to that message, as opposed to just pushing it back into the channel directly. And that's it. We now have this always on. We have all of our team having calls with clients every day. If there's clients on there that are not in HubSpot and not on our client newsletter, we get a ping in Slack to say, do you want to add this person? We then decide if we want to add them or not, if we think the newsletter would be valuable for them. If so, then they get added. Then they get an autoresponder to say, you got added to this. And we even include this video. If you might even be here because you got this email, to show you how we did it. They can unsubscribe directly from that email. We make it very easy to unsubscribe. And it's a really good way to keep in contact with our customers, send them our content, and make sure that we have all the people in CRM. So there's tons of other use cases you could use this. You could use for this, like we're building a similar process to this in Salesforce for one of our clients, where we're looking at Gong call recordings to then decide if we should add any participants as contact roles to opportunities, to make sure that we have full contact roles and opportunities and automate that process. So there's so much richness in those call recordings, both from a transcript, the attendee information, and more, that you can then power some really interesting workflows to communicate with customers better, get your data in order, get people into opportunities in Salesforce, into subscriber lists. There's so much you could do here. So hopefully this was interesting and useful. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And yeah, hope you enjoyed.